In this video, we'll learn how to search for and find external evidence to answer your clinical or research question. We'll discuss keywords, subject headings, and mesh, and Boolean operators. Then we'll talk about how to utilize these different tools for our search strategies in PubMed to find the sources we need. I'll explain how to do this using our clinical question about the effectiveness of the 20-20-20 rule for reducing digital eye strain. To access databases such as PubMed, you need to click their links from the library's website. You cannot Google the name of the database and access them that way. The reason is that the link on the library's website includes the Pacific's single sign-on and is what provides you with access to the full text. So you can find access to them in two ways. The first is through the A to Z database list. Click Databases in the top menu bar on the library's website, then select Optometry from the All Subjects drop-down menu. You'll see a list of the databases with content related to optometry. The second way is from the Optometry Resources Guide. You can look under Evidence-Based Optometry, under Find Where to Look for Evidence. This will give you a list of the different types of databases, starting with background resources such as Clinical Key and Access Medicine, where you can start off searching for general information, and then foreground resources where you can find research studies and databases like PubMed, CINAHL, Web of Science, and Vision Site. You can also find these same databases on the background sources page and the article databases and EBP resources page. Here's a list of these databases that you can find for optometry. When I'm searching and I'm at the stage where I'm looking for studies, I start with PubMed and then keep searching additional databases until I've found what I need, or I have started to find many of the same results in different databases. I often search PubMed, Web of Science, CINAHL, Google Scholar, and Vision Site. We start off by looking at background sources in order to find general information about our topic that can help us focus our clinical question and give us ideas for keywords to use when searching. I found this source in Clinical Key. It's part of a book chapter and explains what digital eye strain is. One thing we learned from it is that we might also use the keywords asthenopia, digital eye strain, or computer vision syndrome. It says that asthenopia means weakness or debility of the eyes or vision, and that asthenopic symptoms associated with the use of digital displays have been collectively referred to as digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome. We might also find keywords by starting our search in a database such as PubMed. When we see an article that looks relevant, we can read the title and abstract to see if there are any new keywords that we could use. We could also look at the subject terms or mesh terms in PubMed. On the right, we see the list of mesh terms for this article. What are subject terms? Most databases will have their own subject terms. When an article is entered into a database with subject terms, it will be assigned all of the subject terms in that database that it's related to. For this example, when this article was entered into PubMed, it was assigned the mesh terms that we see here, such as adolescent, asthenopia epidemiology, COVID-19 epidemiology, and cross-sectional studies. This means that whenever someone searches using any of these mesh terms, this article will appear in the search results. As a note, in PubMed, some articles take a few months to receive mesh terms. This means that you can't find them when just searching using mesh, but you can find them using keywords. What's really nice about subject terms is that you can find all of the articles about a topic that have been indexed with that subject term. So for example, if one article uses the term digital eye strain and another uses the term computer vision syndrome, both articles would probably be indexed using the mesh term asthenopia, and so you could find them both that way. You'll notice that subject terms are called different names in different databases. As we saw in PubMed, they're called mesh or medical subject headings. If we want to see if there's a mesh term for a certain keyword, we can go to the mesh database and enter the keyword. In this example, I entered eye strain and found the mesh term asthenopia. There is a description of the term under the title, and it reads, term generally used to describe complaints related to refractive error, ocular muscle imbalance, including pain or aching around the eyes, burning and itchiness of the eyelids, ocular fatigue, and headaches. This sounds like what we're looking for. If we click Add to Search Builder on the right side, the mesh term with the syntax that you would use to search for it appears in the PubMed Search Builder box. You can copy this term and paste it into your research log. The syntax is asthenopia mesh. This indicates to PubMed that it's searching for mesh term as opposed to a keyword. You could also choose to limit our search for therapy for asthenopia by clicking the box next to therapy and clicking Add to Search Builder. Then we could search using the mesh term ostenopeia / therapy and with mesh in brackets, which would bring us articles specifically related to therapy for ostenopeia. One nice thing that PubMed does is that if you search using a keyword, it will map the keyword to the mesh term that it thinks is relevant and search using both keywords and mesh terms. So your strategy is going to be to search for just using keywords, but then check how PubMed is interpreting your search string, which I will show you how to do to make sure it's mapping your search terms, your keywords, to the most relevant keywords and mesh terms. So you won't actually enter mesh terms when you're searching, but you will check to see that the correct mesh terms are being used. An example of when it's important to check that you're using the right mesh term is the mesh term for child. If you read the description, it includes persons 6 to 12 years of age. It indicates that individuals 2 to 5 years would fall under the term child, preschool. If you searched the mesh database, you would find the mesh terms for infants and adolescents as well. So in this case, if you use the mesh term for child to search for articles about children age 5, you would instead find articles about children age 6 to 12. Our next step would be to write down our keywords and our mesh or any other subject headings we're planning to use in our research log. Here we can see our keywords for digital eye strain, and we have one mesh term for it. There aren't any mesh terms related to the 2020 rules, so we would just search it as a keyword. Now let's learn how to connect our keywords and mesh terms using Boolean operators and, or, and not. I recommend using only and or. It's quite rare when using not would be really useful. You want to use and to connect unique concepts. This brings you search results containing all of the search terms that you connected by and. For example, the 2020 rule and digital eye strain are unique concepts. If we want to find articles that are related to both the 2020 rule and digital eye strain, then we would connect these two keywords with and, 2020 rule and digital eye strain. Or is used to connect similar terms or synonyms. So when you connect search terms with or, your search results might contain any one or all of the keywords. You want to use this when a unique concept is called by a different names, and we don't want to miss out on articles that use a different word to describe it than we do. So we know that we might find articles about digital eye strain that call it eye strain, computer vision syndrome, or ostenopeia. So instead of searching for digital eye strain, you could search for digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome or ostenopeia, and then we'd get search results that are related to any one of those terms or to all of them. You could also use not to exclude search terms that are to the right of the not. For example, if you wanted to find articles that were about adults and not about children, you could search for adults, not children. However, I don't suggest using not because you might exclude relevant articles unintentionally, and it's usually always possible to limit your search results to relevant articles with just and or. Now, let's put our search strings together using and or. First, we put parentheses around our related search terms that we have connected with or. In this example, we put parentheses around digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome or ostenopeia. Next, we connect our unique concepts with and. We just have two unique concepts, the 2020 rule and digital eye strain. So our search string would be 2020 rule and then in parentheses, digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome or ostenopeia. We can then paste it into the search box just like this with the parentheses. The parentheses are important because they tell the database how to group your search terms. If you put them in a different order, you'll get different search results. Here are some examples of how you could put your search strings together. The top example is a search string using keywords and the mesh terms ostenopeia. The second one only uses keywords and does not use any mesh terms. And the third one just uses the 2020 rule to search. The key is to keep changing your search string until you find relevant search results. For this example, all I really needed to do was search for the 2020 rule because I'm really only interested in articles that specifically reference it because I want to see if they have any studies that look at its efficacy for treatment. I can see my search under history and search details below. And if I click a chevron, when using PubMed, you can use the PubMed Advanced Search Builder to see if PubMed is using your search terms by the way you want it to. So I searched for our long search string 2020 rule and digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome, and then clicked Advanced under the search box. I can see my search under history and search details below, and if I click this chevron next to my search, I can see how PubMed has interpreted my search string. So now that you know how to use Boolean operators and/or not, and mesh terms in a search string, you can understand this and see if it looks correct. For example, I can see that PubMed is searching for 2020 and rule as keywords. It has added the and then is searching for many forms of the word digital and the mesh term for osthenopia and any of the keywords for eye strain and any of the keywords for computer vision syndrome. So it looks on target. However, if we saw something that didn't make sense, such as keywords that were off topic or a mesh search term that wasn't relevant, we could just adjust our search accordingly, as I described in the previous slide, to make sure our search results are relevant. So you would also see here that PubMed is automatically including the mesh terms for osthenopia in the search, so we don't have to add it ourselves. Look for additional filters for your search results. For example, if you're searching for randomized controlled trials, meta-analysis, or systematic review, you could click those boxes to limit your search results to these types of studies in PubMed. However, just because you use these filters does not mean that the search results will be 100% correct. You might still find some results that are different study types from time to time. It's still up to you to appraise the studies that you find. Another great way to find relevant sources is to look in the references of the articles that you find. You can see what sources the authors cited. In the beginning of the article, the authors should provide a literature review, which includes relevant literature that might be useful for you as well. Several databases such as PubMed, Web of Science, and Google Scholar show you articles that are similar to the one you're looking at. They also show you cited by articles. This means articles that are in databases that have cited the article you're looking at. These would be more recently published articles, and I highly recommend checking these three options out when searching. My last tip for you is that you can search Google the same way you're searching these databases using Boolean operators. You can also limit your searches to a specific type of domain, such as .gov or .edu, or to specific websites, such as aoa.org. You would write site:/.edu after your search terms, and this would require that your search results have .edu in the URL. This would mean that they would have to be from .edu websites, in other words, websites from institution of higher education. This can really help you find more relevant search results and when you're doing your searching. For example, if you searched 2020 rule and in parentheses digital eye strain or osthenopia site:/.gov, all of the search results must have .gov in their URL, so they must be from government websites. You can see these search results in these search results that there are 2 articles from PubMed and 1 from the cdc.gov and 1 from Oregon.gov. Much better than just doing a Google search. This can also be useful if you're searching for data and you think might be available from a government organization. In the next video, we'll access, read, and evaluate the articles that we find.